Hey everyone, welcome back to Patriot Ridge Farm. It's Mike, and I'm down here on the front part of the property down near the road. And when I was talking previously on the videos about having to get off-farm compost for next year, I went ahead and called the local place. 2 years ago when I went and got compost, it was $42 a scoop. And now that's a 3-yard bucket on a farm tractor is what the scoop is. They don't sell it by the ton or by the weight or anything because of the variations in moisture in it. So it's either wet, wet and heavy, or dry and light. So they just sell it by the 3-yard scoop, and it was $42. I called Friday, and the guy told me, he said, yes, he said, we have it. He said, we're still getting more in. He said, we're preparing for next season. And I said, is it still $42 a scoop? And he said, no, it's $60 a scoop now. So $60 a scoop, a 3-yard scoop and it's mushroom compost is what it is, and that's all they sell. And I thought, $60 a scoop went from $42 a scoop 2 years ago to $60 a scoop. Now they're bringing in mushroom compost up here to the mine site because that's what they're going to line the bottom of the ponds with. And I asked him, I said, how much are you getting? And I said, is it possible if I give you the money to have, a truckload delivered to us? I said, about 20 tons, I think, and I can't remember how many yards that equaled out to be. And he said, sure. He said, that won't be a problem. He said, I'll give him a call, and he said, I'll get some pricing for you. I said, all right, I appreciate it. I said, just let me know. Well, he called me back, and it comes, I think, from central Pennsylvania, which a couple hours away, $1,500 for what I wanted in one truckload. And I said, you got to be kidding me. And he said, no. He said, they're killing us with the delivery fee because of the fuel surcharge. So you're looking at probably $500-600 for the compost, but $1,000 for delivery. And I thought, this is just crazy. And I talked to my wife, and I've talked about, before about getting a chipper, getting a bigger size chipper that we could use here on the farm to make our own compost and stuff. And that way, in bulk, okay, so in larger volumes than what we currently make it now. And I tried this entire last year and a half to get wood chips delivered to the farm from the tree companies. And I even used Chip Drop, and nothing. Couldn't get a delivery one. And I told my wife, I said, here's what we're going to be faced with. I said, we're looking at, so if we figure 20 tons is 40,000 pounds. And I said, you figure the average 3-yard scoop up there might be 800 pounds. I said, that's 50 trips in a 5-ton dump trailer. That's probably close to 50 trips I'm going to have to make just to get the amount of compost and stuff that we need. And I said, we really ought to start thinking about getting our own chipper. And she said, you can find one less than $10,000 or less than $5,000. She said, that's the bad thing, because I showed her a couple of them online that were used and for sale, and they're all starting at about $5,000. And she said, we just can't make that right now. And I said, I understand. I said, but I mean, it's something we need to consider in the future. And I said, if all else fails, I said, we'll just do what we have to do. Well, wonderful Facebook Marketplace. I got on there again, and I ran across this chipper just across the state line over in Pennsylvania, and it was $2,000. And I thought, you know what? That might be worth looking at. So I messaged the guy, and he'd evidently bought it at an auction about 1.5 years, 2 years ago. And for whatever reason, he never really got to mess with it. He ended up getting sick. I think he said he got Lyme disease and stuff like that, and it's really played hell on his health. And it just sat there for the last 1.5 years, 2 years, and he never really had much time to fool with it to, get it back to operational. I think there's an electrical issue with it that has to do with the emergency shutoff. The engine turns over and everything like that, but the emergency shutoff there's something with it. So I took a friend of mine here, a neighbor, if it's worth it, he's going to know. The man knows everything about everything. So we went and looked at it yesterday, and I brought it home. So this is an all-tech, I think it takes up to 12-inch logs. It's an all-tech chipper. It's got the blower tube on the other side It's got a fixed boom. I mean, you can lower it a little bit. It's got the adjustment here where you can lower it down. But excuse me, and you can adjust a couple different things on it. But it's got the shroud up here, so you can adjust the shroud to either blow straight out or down, which is what I do to put it in a trailer. And then it's got the blower tube on this side. Clutch, everything seems to work. I think this is about an 18-gallon gas tank. We checked the knife blades in it, which are typically pretty expensive to replace. They're all in good shape. The guy actually gave us like four or five more brand new knife blades that he had. Tires are good on it. The only thing we ran into was it's got a pintle hitch, and I didn't have a pintle hitch, so I had to go to a local hardware store and buy a pintle hitch so I could drag it home. But the lights work on it. It's a 4-cylinder gas engine, and I think it might be, there's no branding on it other than it's an All-Tech environmental product. There's no branding on the engine to tell me exactly what it is. I think it might be a Ford industrial motor, but we just need to do a little bit of looking into it here, digging into it a little bit more. Like I said, the engine turns over fine, but it doesn't seem to be getting any spark, and I think that's probably because of the emergency shutoff not being wired up or whatever might be wrong with that. So we'll look at getting that taken care of. And I got to get a new air cleaner box here for it because the lid's missing on it, so I have to get one of those. So Monday, tomorrow, I'll call the company and you try to get as much information off of them as I can about it, get a manual for it, and that way I know what we're looking at and know exactly what parts we're going to need. But you know, this is one of those things. This is an investment for the farm. You know, if I spend $2,000 on this thing, then that's with compost going up to $60 from $20 or $42 in 2 years. Who's to say what it's going to be in another 2 years? So we bought it and brought it home, and we'll get to digging into it here soon, get it running, get it operational, and we'll start using it. So in order to make our farm work without spending, and I know it sounds kind of crazy, you just spent $2,000 on a chipper that, you know, you've never heard running. Well, we know it turns over. It's got oil in it. It doesn't have gas in it, of course, because it's been sitting for a couple years, or about a year and a half, 2 years. But this is something that, you know, using just a couple times a year to cut firewood and chipping all the limbs and all the, you know, the stuff that we're not going to use in firewood, and even cutting out brush and stuff like that, just run it through the chipper here and create our own compost. So couldn't pass it up. Like I said, everything else I was looking at online was $5,000 and up, and believe it or not, I mean, other than some surface rust on that thing, that's the original paint. So really, I don't care how pretty it is. I'm not looking for aesthetics. As long as it functions and operates, we're good to go. So that's the new addition. The other part is I got a sprinkler system for the it's called an Orbit sprinkler for the greenhouse, because obviously I wasn't getting enough water in it, and I got sprouts all over the place. I'll take you guys up there and show you that. All right, we'll go up the driveway from where the chipper's parked here. All right, so I've just set it there in the middle, and it's got different settings on it where it'll turn 360 degrees, or you can actually set the angle to which, and it's got different spray patterns and everything. So I just put it in the middle, and I run it for about 1.5 hours to 2 hours each day. But looky here, already getting sprouts. so we'll keep watering it. Actually, it's warm enough in here now. I didn't want to do it because it was only like 34 degrees here this morning. So I'll go ahead and get the sprinkler turned on. Let it do its thing. Of course, it will hit the walls and everything like that. That's why I rolled the sides back down. That way, you know, it doesn't all spray outside, but it sprays 360 degrees all the way around and it gets the whole area. And it's coming towards me, so I'm going to step out of here. All right. So, like I said, with the sprouts coming up now, great thing to see, because we know that our cover crop is germinating and starting to grow. And here comes the water, so I'm going to close the door here. And we'll stand here till it makes its pass. But you know, I was going out here with a hose, and I can't stand out here for 2 hours, hour and a half, 2 hours with the hose and just saturate the soil. Made sense just to get a sprinkler, and that way I'm not having to worry about standing out here each day wasting an hour and a half, 2 hours just trying to run the hose and stuff. All right, it's turned around. A little air in the hose there from where I had it unhooked from the well. But it'll spin, it'll blow right back to this door here, and then it turns right back around and goes back around this way and comes all the way around here. So I run it for about an hour and a half to 2 hours, and everything's taken care of. And man, what a difference in the heat, the temperature difference in there. Really warm. All right, so Peppa has still not moved. It's been over a week now. She will not move. I don't know what that pig's deal is. And now she's even more leery of even getting right up there near the gate, no matter what we do with feed. And I'm feeding Boris, and she's in there with Boris, but Boris will not let her near his food. And I'm doing everything I can to get her to, you know, follow the food. And that pig, even with them big old floppy ears covering her eyes like this on the side, she knows exactly where she's at. When I pull that feed dish back from her and get it in that area, as soon as she senses that, she stops right there. And I mean, there's nothing there to hurt her. She's just being stubborn. So we're going to just keep working on it. And I figure, and she's got plenty of forage up there to eat on, and she's been eating a lot of forage because she hasn't been getting any grain. And I'll even pour a little pile of grain and then, you know, move the bowl forward and everything like that, and she'll come up and eat that pile of grain. But if that pile of grain is within that perimeter that she's already determined is that she's not going, she won't touch it. So we'll get her moved. Eventually she will move, whether she likes it or not. But that's, and just to let you guys know, I'm done buying stuff now, whether I want to or not. You know, we try to be pretty frugal with our money and save money, and you know, we have stuff set aside and everything. But yeah, I'm done now. I've got everything that I need to get, and you know, probably not a whole lot of tree cutting this winter. More like spring will come around, or we'll cut some trees this winter and everything like that for firewood for next year, which I hope to get started here soon. But you know, get that chipper running and get that thing operational, and that's just one more step of self-sufficiency that we need and we want. And that way I can just make my pile of wood chips and let it compost down, and make another pile and keep making piles of wood chips. And each year I've got a composted pile that I can bring out here and use to amend the soil and everything in our greenhouse and use as a growing medium. And when we put all the raised beds and everything over here on the sides of it, it's all there. So unfortunately, I mean, you do have to spend money. Don't get stupid and get yourself far in debt. But you know, you have to be a little frugal and a little tight on the purse strings every once in a while. And that way you can have some money available when things come up like that you definitely need. And it's, like I said, it's not a want, it's an absolute need here if we're going to continue to grow this farm and do what we want to do with it and raise the kind of food and stuff that we're going to raise. So that's it. It's Sunday. It's a beautiful day. I'm going to enjoy it, get out here, get some stuff done, get and stay prepared, stay free. God bless y'all.